So welcome to the Node.js Technical Steering Committee meeting for April 23rd, 2025. You may have noticed we did adjust the times for the meetings based on the latest survey we did after the time zone changed. So if you do watch the recordings regularly, you might want to go check the schedule and see when they are. We now have 3 different times. So let's launch into the agenda. We'll follow our standard approach of going through the agenda that was created in the TSC repo as issue number 1728. Before we get started, any announcements people would like to share? Hey, if there's no announcements, I'll just have the regular reminder to nominate people for the contributor spotlight, hoping we can get that kicked off again, given that the person at the foundation that was supporting with us with that is back. In terms of CPC, go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of announcements, I guess we should announce that node.js 24.0.0 will not be released today.
Antoine,
Yes.
your microphone is somehow a bit confusing, like it's more robotic.
Sorry. I'll write in the chat.
Okay, I think I understood it though, is like we should announce that Node.js 24.0.0 will not be shipped today. And that is, I think we should spend some time discussing that here. I don't think we have an issue on the agenda, but it would be worth, at least for the people here, we can talk a little bit about that to see what our outlook is. Any other announcements? Okay, so CPC and board meeting updates. I don't think we have our CPC or board meeting or board reps here, so no, I'm just going to say no updates this week. I think most of the issues on the agenda are ones that have been on. We can go through. The first one is related to LinkedIn and releasers being able to repost those. Last time we talked about it, we were just going to give Kylie a bit of time since she'd come back. I'm just going to scroll down and see if there's been any more comments. Okay. Says we can allow that current lead releaser can have access to social channels. So I guess that sounds like the answer is we'll work with Kylie to get access to the people who have access. So I'll follow up with her on that. That sounds good. Kylie responded. Michael, follow up with her. Deadlock at process shutdown is the next one. I'm just going to take a look. If anybody obviously has any updates on these, feel free to jump in. I see, Robert, you commented last on the issue.
Yeah, I was following through the Chromium issue, and another project posted their solution there, which was basically that they never drain the workers on the main thread. So I just posted that there for someone maybe a bit more technically invested to see if that could maybe give some idea. But I don't know. Did Ben ever reply whether he would look into this, or did we have a plan?
Well, I think his answer is not without being paid.
It says our platform, the text runner implementation just has never been correct. And because we started posting foreground tasks from background tasks, that started to trigger deadlocks. And we need to correct this.
Right. So when you say the test runner, just so that we're talking about the same thing or I understand the same thing, is this the test runner in Node.js that we sometimes use, or are just the test
The
runner we use for testing?
the VA task runner,
Oh,
uh,
the task runner. Okay.
the VA one, the VA column task runner, a specific class.
Right. So, but it just so I get it right in the minutes, like that changed, which then caused the problems. But like there was something wrong in our test runners, or
I think initially, from what I read from the issue, initially when the person implemented the initial implementation of because we were using default platform, and then someone from Google implemented like a custom VA platform implementation for us. And then
okay,
in that issue, they already mentioned that this is not problematic for now unless VA started to pose foreground task from a background task. And for a long time, VA has not been doing that. But recently they started doing that, especially in garbage collection tasks. So, and then someone else from Google started another pull request saying that they don't know why Node is draining worker tasks or like background tasks on the main thread, but that would cause a deadlock. It's like a known. It's like if you do this, it's
okay,
known to be causing deadlock. Because well, the background thread will be waiting for the foreground thread, which will be, deadlock. And then I guess the solution is to just get rid of that to do. But it's unclear because the last attempt to do this was to not keep draining the background text on the main thread, but that would result in loss of tasks altogether. So I guess from the last test failures in that pull request I can remember, like some WASM compilation tasks would be dropped. And you do want them to be finished before you shut down the whole event loop.
okay.
So
So there was already an attempt, but that resulted in other failures.
yeah, my impression of this is just that we have never been actually correctly implementing the VA platform. I think we've been ignoring a lot of key concepts in the platform. Like we have no differentiation between different priority of the tasks. We just use one task runner for everything. There's like no priority whatsoever. Um, so I guess it needs some correction on that front.
Right. And I mean, it sounded like we moved from using the default one at one point. I mean, that I assume it isn't an
Yeah,
option to go back, right?
that was a very long time ago, like 2017 or something.
Right.
And I guess it needs someone knowledgeable to kind of write the platform correctly, write our platform implementation correctly. I think I
Right.
might be able to spend some cycle on this, but I cannot really guarantee that for now because I have other stuff to do currently by looking into the issue out of curiosity and just because I also was working on the VA upgrade, which also has something to do with the platform. So I was looking
Yep.
in that in that in that in the JSON part of the code base, and it doesn't look correct in my opinion. The platform implementation that we have, or like it misses out a lot of concepts that VA adds to the platform abstract class over the years.
Okay. So somebody with some knowledgeable, who's knowledgeable, or enough time to learn, needs to take a look.
Yeah, I'm not sure who is owning the platform things right now in from the Google side. I think maybe Michael Lippos have been doing some, but because he was working on the CPGC stuff, which requires additional task runner for the external, well, not the external, the unified heap stuff. So we also been chatting about the task runner a bit recently about the other thing that's blocking the VA upgrade.
Who is that? You said that's Michael.
M. Lippold's the VA garbage collection person.
Okay, I'll say
So
garbage collection.
they might know, they might have some context about what's been going on in the platform, or there's someone called A has who also did a bit of changes in VA when we were upgrading VA for there were also something that we need to change in the platform in the task runner like registration, unregistration, and they were also doing some stuff in VA that creates a need for us to do a migration, basically.
Can you post their names in the chat so that I can just
Yes,
add them as like, hey, here are some people that we might follow up with?
I can post their like Chromium handle.
Sure, yeah, okay.
Let me check.
But I think was it Robert? Was it your questions whether Ben had been like I think if I understand correctly, Ben might if we offered to pay, but I don't think so just otherwise.
No, I think that's the status a few weeks back
Okay.
that we wanted to ask him, and he said he can look into it if we pay him. And then we discussed where we could get the money from.
Right. We did, and last time we did discuss that we actually got some money through our crowdfunding, but most of it was for, turns out when we looked a little more carefully, was for our participation in the security program that I think it's the GitHub security program. And so that money is already spoken for in terms of, the people that we had participate in the things that you needed to do for that. So we don't necessarily have that chunk of money to spend on this. So I think we may still need, we may try and figure out how much of that we have, and then that would maybe unlock some other options. But yeah, I think right now we're not at the point where we have figured out money. We'd still be in the, can we figure out some dollars to help, get somebody working on it.
I think also in terms of the CI flake itself, there's a new pull request that wait, how do you pronounce their name? In Pika, who I was trying to mark the flake, one of the flake caused by the deadlock as flaky because it has been flaking the CI for like 4 years, 3 years. And then it seems that if you do a garbage collection or shutdown, at least in the test, it's going to make that flake go away. So he also opened the pull request to just make that go away. I think I've checked the latest reliability report, and I think that has actually been going away, the flake. So at least as a workaround for tests, adding a garbage collection or shutdown, like in the exit handler, can make that go away. From my reading is because when the event loop is already going down, VA has some internal branches to just not post the task, not post the garbage collection task when the isolate is going away. That's why it's going to skip that background task, posting foreground task, causing a deadlock condition. So that seems like a plausible hack for the CI flakes per se, although the race condition might still appear in the wild unless everyone starts to doing the garbage collection or shutdown.
So which hook specifically?
I can paste the pull request. Let me check. It's like
Because I just
system.
said, like, in terms of tests, adding a GC and shutdown, maybe a workaround, and it was proved out in one of the tests. And yeah, if I just show the test.
Yeah, to at least make the flake go away per se, but that was to be like a, to do remove this when I pasted the link. Wait, I think it's the other one, sorry. I should, that's the one that's marking it as flaky, and there's another pull request that just does a garbage collection on shutdown. Oh, it's not actually on shutdown, is on close of the string. I guess
Okay.
if you remove, well, you just like, as long as you can make sure that on ISO disposal, I guess, there won't be another garbage collection task that's posted from the background that's also posting a foreground task. It will prevent that flake from reproducing, even though it might still reproducing the wild.
Okay. So for our flaky tests, that might be a workaround to add that in some of them. Any other discussion on that one before we move on? Okay, if not, the next one is related to trying to generate some funds through supporter pages and stuff. I'm just taking a look, but I assume the answer is we're still waiting on the board to give us like a proposal of what's allowed. It's what I proposed is not allowed. Okay, so I'm just gonna put that, yes, still waiting on board. Let's talk about the CI situation. I think we've effectively covered that in the previous one on the shutdown issue, unless there's something else we should chat about. Okay. Cover. So right. So the next one I think would be good is to spend a little bit of time chatting about the 24 release and the V8 upgrade. As was mentioned earlier, the release isn't going to go out this week as planned because we're hoping to get that V8 update landed first. I know Joy, you've been spending quite a bit of time, I can see from some of the comments. Do you have a good sense of like what the blockers are that are left?
I think it's been a while since we ran the full CI. Let me check again. I think the one flake that I've been working with is currently blocked on a VACL, which almost look good on the V18 side. So once I get that in VA, I can, get it back and then have the other patch that fixes the flake
Okay.
in that pull request. That flake is not, I think, not showing up in the last full CI run, the full Jenkins CI run, because it was a flake. But I have some stress tests proving that it fixes the flake.
Okay.
And then I think the other remaining one is SmartOS. And I saw that someone, I guess from the company that manages it now, have a patch for this. I'm not sure if they plan to upstream it to V8 because it's a V8 patch, but there is a patch there that supposedly could fix this on
Right.
SmartOS. And I see that there are still 2 failures. And there are still a few failures on Windows that I cannot fully understand. There are crashes. So not sure what's going on. I am not sure whether anyone has been looking into that. And there is a bunch of zlib. Looks like Cindy. Oh, I think they are specifically Cindy crashes on v7. I am not sure anyone is currently looking into that. It's a zlib Cindy crashes.
Right.
And I think Targos mentioned that he managed to make it go away with a revert, like disable a garbage collection flag by default. So
Okay.
that might also work around, might also be able to like go away if we just work around it by reverting that garbage collection feature. Or like
Okay.
disabling that garbage collection feature. So I guess apart from the Windows failures, that not sure whether they are just flakes or actual crashes. The rest seems to be fixable, workaroundable. The view ones, I do not know.
Okay. Because like the,
Oh,
you
no,
know,
sorry,
as
the Windows ones, sorry.
right. Okay. Because like I guess I was kind of thinking like the SmartOS ones and even the ARMv7 ones, we did ship in the past once with like Windows 32 not fully working and with the plan on bringing that back afterwards. So that is possible. I think that's a possible option for both, like, okay, if the SmartOS one is going to take a while to be upstreamed, we don't actually ship binaries, so maybe we ship and I don't know if it's just a few tests that it affects or lots.
I think so far from the last CI, it seems the only failures that we haven't really dug into or like know how to work around would be the Windows crashes.
Okay.
They are just like 2 tests that are crashing.
Okay.
Unclear what's going on because there's no SAC, or unclear whether they're just flakes, but they were failing the last CI. Or I guess if we are really getting desperate, we can ignore those 2 failures. So yeah, I guess the next step would be to get those VA patches in either in the upstream or get them merged into that pull request branch. Yeah, but I asked Targos whether I can just push to the branch. He haven't responded. Maybe he was busy.
I think what I understand is he's away this week.
Okay. I guess we can wait until he's back. Or I guess you wouldn't mind I push to the branch.
I don't think he would mind if you pushed them onto the
Okay.
branch. So, I mean, we can always remove them or whatever too. So I think pushing them and seeing if that resolves things would be good. I think at this point, we're probably looking at delaying until at least next week because, Michael Zasso has been doing a lot of the work related to getting the V8 landed away. I think Raphael, who's going to do the release, although I think he might have had somebody back out to push it out if it was already is away this week too. So maybe it makes sense to say like let's wait till next week, delay to next week, and then we can see what's left and make the call. Or, I don't know if maybe the release team is already discussing like should we ship or not with these different things, but help make a call in terms of like, yeah, is it ready to go or do we wait longer?
I guess at least before Douglas comes back, we can at least try to get the patches in to get the CI
Yep.
figured out. But yeah, I think it will probably take a week or so before we can get the VA upgrade branch in a shape that's almost ready. And yeah, we definitely, I think we definitely need these upgrade, either like this one or like some VA upgrade before we can ship
Sure.
24, because it's not going to ship 24 with 13.0.
Yeah, no, I agree. We want to land the V8 thing. It just, we might take the choice that says like, if it's just like ARM v7, for example, that's a lesser used. And like we did with Windows 32-bit, at some point we shipped and then fixed it afterwards, right?
I think the Windows failures are like tier 1 Windows, like
Yeah, the
repeat.
Windows one might be a bigger question if those are, so it'd be good to know if the Windows team is like working to try and get those fixed, because
If there are like constant failures, I can also take a look when I get back to my Windows machine.
okay.
Yeah, I will just wait until my VA patch and the other patch comes around and uh push them in, and then
Okay.
start another CI to see what else is failing. Hopefully not much.
Okay, so I'll just take a sort of the closing out seems like the right thing to do is to basically, say we're delayed by a week and then, see next week where we are and review to see like, can we land the V8 update and ship even if there are a few standing issues, or we think we need to delay some.
Is Yagis around?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you know why there's a conflict with SIMD UTF?
Because we updated it, and like on main branch it's updated, and on inside the V8 branch, I remember Targos removed SimDTF, or it like something related to that, because the new V8 update also
Oh,
brings SimUTF.
right.
So there's conflict. I think we either remove the V8 version or we use our own version, or like vice versa.
Right, I remember discussing that with someone from VA. Do you know what's the decision on that? Like whether we are using one of them or are we using both? I think with Zlib we use both.
Uh, I'm not sure if there's like a decision that's made. In Cloudflare, I think we don't use the V8 SimDTF version. We use our local version. So we can do the same similar thing here.
Oh, I see that in the progress branch, it seems he's using the VA version and deletes our direct version. Do you know, like, is that the thing that we are going to do moving forward, or
Sorry.
because I guess if we're going to move forward with that branch, we need to also remove the automation and stuff and just use the VA one.
Yes. If so, yeah, we need to update it. If we want to keep SimBTF, like if you want to remove local one and depend on V8 version, yes.
Right. I
So, but my 2 cents on this is that V8 moves, like we don't update V8 that often.
right.
But we update SimUTF because a lot of other code other than V8 depends on SimUTF. So maybe it's beneficial to just don't use the V8 SimUTF version and use our local one.
I guess we'll probably need to discuss this with Chargos, or whether he was just trying to at least make it build, because it seems like a decision we need to make. Off the top of my head, I think maybe the least hairy solution, maybe more, but like in terms of like not running into unexpected app bugs would be to have two copies, like what we do with zlib. I think we prefix the zlib. Like the copy used by VA is prefixed, or like the one that we use in depth zlib is prefixed. Like we have two copies of zlib.
Yes.
It's
So
not ideal, but
yeah.
that might prevent some unexpected crashes
So if,
when there are different expectations inside and outside VA.
So V8 node fork, I think last week they opened a PR to add a redefine the simutf export in simutf.header file as like you can prefix it with like internal underscore simutf and there won't be any crashes anymore. They literally did that in github.com/v8/node repository.
So VA/node is using two copies, right?
Yes, right now it is.
Yeah, I guess we can probably also go with that approach, at least for 24, and
So
see what
yeah,
better.
small FYI is that simutf is an extremely large library, so it will probably increase the binary size significantly if you have two different copies.
How big is big?
I have an impression
I
that
don't know.
anything that comes from Superbuzz is
So
usually not that big.
Ada repository is 800 kilobytes when compiled. I assume it's at least 2-3 megabytes.
I think it kind of, because SyncDUTF is very template heavy, it kind of depends on what we use, right?
Doesn't
Depends on,
SimDUTF have a header only variation?
I think it's mostly just headers because it's very template.
It has single header deployment, which is what we are using, but it doesn't change the factor that it supports all these different architectures. So if you're compiling the same exact code for twice, it's deduplicating things. For some systems, it will be less because it doesn't require too much code, but some other systems, it might be extremely huge.
But we don't use all of them, right? So the linker should be able to trim unused bits unused bits out.
If it is configured correctly, yes.
I guess we can see if the VA copy increases in size significantly after they prefix that copy and like have two copies.
Yeah, we can check, definitely.
Would changing that after be Semper Major or visible?
Yeah, I don't think it will be a Semver major. We can land it as it is and fix the increasing bundle size in a minor version.
That's kind of, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
I think do we expose the SyncDUTF headers?
No, we don't.
I guess that would probably make things simple. We can just, I think for 24, we can just do whatever. We can either go with one copy or two copy. If we are short on time, we just go with one copy and then we duplicate in a patch release, basically. If we want to reduce the risk of like version dependency hell.
Yeah, bro.
So is it fair enough to say like we can ship whatever's easiest to start and then adjust?
I guess for the peer branch, we can just continue removing depths using DUTF.
Okay.
And think about what to do next when after 24 is out. Ideally with two copies, I guess, to mirror what VA does. not the best approach because we'll have 2 copies, but safer.
Yeah, I think that makes sense as long as we're, we're comfortable. It's not going to be, we can do the right thing afterwards, then be one less thing to worry about before we can actually get a ship out there. Anything else we should discuss on that front before we move on? So we'll plan to discuss it again next week, and some of the people will be back. But for anybody who's watching, like we'll say, it's definitely slipped a week, and we'll have a better sense, I think, next week what we should plan to do. And I'm going to move on to the strategic initiatives. Go in there. Just navigating to the dock. So Antoine, anything on core promises? If you're speaking, Antoine, you're on mute. Okay, I'll assume there's no update there. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, I see nothing this week in the chat. Thanks. Joey, anything on startup snapshot?
Nope.
Okay.
Then the upgrade part, but that has already landed.
Okay. Looking who's here. I think the other one is next 10. I know there was some good discussion of the survey at the Collaborator Summit. We did have a session last week where we incorporated a lot of the feedback, and I think the plan is to get the survey, like if the PR hasn't landed yet, it will land soon, and to get that out soon. So you may have one last chance if you still had thoughts to comment there, but otherwise it should be landed and going out soon. Okay. Right. So I'm going to then say we will close the stream. If everybody can stick around for a little bit of the private session, that would be great. And so thanks for everybody who's been watching on the